And we appreciate you coming on. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, let's make it good.
It's live?
Well, I don't see it. Can they hear us, or is it our theme music?
Because I don't hear any music.
And let me see. Oh,
I need to be sharing this.
Yes. Media.
Oh, we just kicked in.
hello, we are live. We are live. We are live.
Well, I'm glad to know we're live because it hasn't come up for me yet. But we're
Okay,
live and
we're
it's time.
live. It's time. And so, thank you everybody for joining us for another great episode of Black Money Matters. My name is Jameca Patrick, and I am one of your hosts. I'm here today with.
Karen Weaver. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here and
Yeah.
do Black Money Matters today with you. We have a special guest, and many people may know you, but for those who
I'm
don't,
sure a lot of
a
Flint
lot of
folks
oh
know
yeah, we
you.
know a lot of Flint folks know him and other places too. But
Mhm.
Reggie Davidson,
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
why are you so happy to be here? Tell us about you because I want people to know. I mean, really, I was excited to have you come today, and I was excited because I've been watching where you've had your hand
Mm-hmm.
and the things you've had your hands in as far as the Black community, especially as it relates to economic opportunity and economic empowerment.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I was excited because I've just been listening and watching.
Okay.
And I thought it was time for you to come on here and talk about
Talk
some
about
of
some
that.
of this.
Yes, 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 yes. So, um, how could I say it? It's oftentimes we find ourselves in a situation where we decide to come out of the rat race,
Mm-hmm.
the traditional, by circumstances or by opportunity.
Mhm.
And so, for me in particular, I've been working for self as an entrepreneur for a long time now.
Mhm.
Humbly as a contract paralegal,
Mhm.
meaning I don't work for a particular law firm, but I contract my services out to a law firm.
Okay.
And it might be as simple as motion practice, doing motions for them, doing document preparation,
Mhm.
Scrivener work, research,
Okay.
and some individuals in what you would call impro-per, people that will do self-help basic documents. I might
Mhm.
prepare those documents for them. And I've been doing that since 2004.
So self-help basics. So you around here helping folks get divorced and everything, huh?
Well, you know what? That's the
Jameca.
you know that's a very good point because she
Jameca said
went to
everything.
the something I do. I do
Mhm.
help with that,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
and that's probably the out of everything legally I do. I hate divorces.
Okay.
I really do. I just hate the whole dynamics around them. I know sometimes it's necessary,
Yeah.
but that part I really don't like. I
Mhm.
like criminal law,
Okay.
and that worked much better than
Okay.
divorces.
Mm-hmm.
But I have helped
With
normally
the paperwork.
primarily attorneys.
Mhm.
But Michigan has a really powerful site, a self-help site for
Yeah.
things like that.
Okay.
And that's why I brought it up because I know that Michigan has a site where you can download all the documents. I know that Michigan has a you can order books that say, the Michigan do it yourself divorce manual. And I know that sometimes people get tricked up by some of those questions.
Yes.
And which document do I file first, second, third. And so to know someone who understands law, they may not have to go and hire an attorney if they're doing like I guess I know divorce is easy, but just an easier type divorce and they just need help with some paperwork.
Self-help.
Mhm.
There's a saying that says a person who represents themselves as an attorney has a fool
For a
For an
lawyer.
for a
attorney.
lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some truth in that, but I
Mhm.
give people much more credit
Mhm.
than that. Law, really, the root of law is common sense.
Mhm.
And so, if you can really navigate around just applying common sense, then it's just a matter of rules and procedures
Mhm.
and and things like that. But yeah, I help people on that level, just short of legal advice. You got to be very careful.
Right.
And so from a business perspective, I consult.
Mhm.
And there's a thin line sometimes between consulting and advice.
Mhm.
So legally, I always will have on tap lawyers
Mhm.
for whatever the matter may be that I can go to or send a client to for advice.
Mhm.
I don't have to cross that line, so I just don't.
Okay.
And but a lot of people, they can't afford, some of the most basic
Right.
things that don't really require nothing more than common
Mhm.
sense.
Right.
Like a quick claim in a house over. You want
Okay.
to quick claim a house over to somebody, you can go to the office supply store
Mm-hmm.
and get a quick claim. So a
Mhm.
lot of times for me, I have information sheets. You tell me what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to advise you. I just do it.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
put the
Just put
document
the-
together for you and you file it.
You can help
Okay.
fill in
So
those blanks.
there's an increase in market for paraprofessionals,
Okay.
such as contract paralegals. It's not new. There's a National Association of Legal Assistants. There's associations now that's encouraging entrepreneur oriented. And that's how I got referred by an attorney, Attorney
Mhm.
John Simpson out of Detroit. I mean, remember, I was actually doing a presentation to the concerned pastors a few years ago for the water filtration systems. I was working with a nonprofit called the Flint Restoration Group,
Mm-hmm.
and we were putting whole house water filtration systems in people's houses. I had raised a couple $100,000 through local businessmen,
Mm-hmm.
and we literally was funding the cost to buy and install these filters in people's homes for free.
Okay.
We didn't want them to have to pay for it. They were going through enough. So through the nonprofit Flint Restoration Group, we literally raised monies and did that. We had participated in a 1-year study
Mm-hmm.
with the MDEQ at the time. And then EPA came in on it. We knocked on the doors of 55 houses, got a test group, put filtration systems in those homes, tested them for a year
Mm-hmm.
under while they were still trying to fix things. And so I say that to say, even from a entrepreneurial perspective, there's a something that I wanted to talk about called socioeconomics, where we have to make our nonprofits work with our for-profits. And I'm talking about our micro nonprofits
Mm-hmm.
and our micro for-profits to solve problems and create wealth.
Okay.
And
You talking our language.
Yeah.
Creating wealth.
So me, my background is, in terms of business, I own the Flushing Professional Suites.
Mm-hmm.
And
I wasn't familiar with that really until I came Juneteenth, and I
Okay.
saw all of those black businesses that
Yeah,
are inside of
that's
there.
on Flushing Road, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Down
that's
the street
on-
from the Family Dollar between Linden and Jennings, right?
between more Lavelle and Ballinger Heights.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And
Right
down the
past-
street from the Golden Gate
Exactly.
Yep.
restaurant.
The restaurant.
Okay.
Right on the corner of Maxon and Flushing.
Okay.
It's about
How many businesses do you have in there?
So 12.
12.
Mhm.
So there's 12 micro businesses in there, from beauty barber shops to counseling services to credit repair to boutiques. And so there's tax services, and most of them are black businesses.
Mhm.
And so not only do we offer them office space, but sometimes we help a few of them with their formation documents, sometimes with their operational development, prepare them for a business loan, give them the basics of some of those things that you have to have so you can qualify for that type of stuff.
So
Go ahead, Jameca.
can you talk a little bit more about like formation documents and things like that? Because I know a lot of people have ideas, they know what they want to do, they have a mark, there's a market for it, but they don't know how to make it a legal, like an officially legal business.
Most business people just start business, and that's good because they have the know-how to just go out there and do it. And sometimes they may just not have the staff or the resources, and mostly the staff, to just show them how to properly form. Most people, when they start a business, either they'll get a DBA and a tax ID number, or they might form an LLC and get a tax ID number, and they're just doing business. Well, to properly form what they call de jure or not de facto. Most people just operate de facto. They just get those two and they're doing business. But you should always, depending on the structure of your business. And the simplest LLC is real hot now. Everybody wants an LLC because they're very easy to form. Because they're very easy to form. And so a LLC, you can almost just just like a DBA, you can have a one-person LLC. You get the protections of a corporation, but you don't have to have a whole lot of paperwork involved in it. You file your articles of organization with the state. And LLCs exist. Let me say this on. There's 3 different types, 2 different forms. There's manager managed LLCs and there are member managed LLCs. Owners of LLCs are called members. And so if all 3 of us formed an LLC, it would more likely be an entity LLC because it's more than 2 people, or it would operate very similar to a partnership. People will file a partnership back in the day, and they have a tax form called a 1065 at the end of the year that divvies up whatever share of ownership we have, profit or loss. So the LLC kind of does the same thing. And if we don't do anything but just form it and it's 3 of us, then our bookkeepers is going to tax it like a partnership. It's going to give us a Schedule K or a 1065. But if we make it an entity LLC, even though it's an LLC, it can be taxed like a S corporation or a C corporation, depending on what benefits we need it to offer for us. So you file articles of organization, get your tax ID number, but the part that most people don't do is they don't do the operating agreement. The operating agreement is kind of like a guide of how you're going to operate your business. It's a guide on how the assets are going to be distributed. It's a guide on the purpose of the business. If you were going to go for financing or something like that, they want to see your operating agreement. And so the operating agreement for LLC is absolutely required. And I would go so far as to say, especially with the micro businesses, the smaller ones, I would go so far as to say 75% of them do not have an operating agreement. I find myself putting together operating agreements all the time. Just this week, I've done 2.
Oh, and today's only Tuesday.
And
you say the week just started.
Yeah, I did them both today. But in between things. So what I'm simply saying is, and then outside of that, you should have a formation document called a resolution. That's the meeting of the minds. When you come together to form a business, it's called the meeting of the minds. And normally the day that you file your articles of incorporation, there should be a corporate resolution prepared saying that, Jameca, Karen, and Reggie have come together to form, the JKR LLC, and it'll do business in Genesee County, Michigan, and beyond. It'll open up a bank account in Genesee County, and it'll have some basic information in it that's saying we came together, we formed, this is where we're located, this is what we're going to do. So you should at least have those 4 documents when you form an LLC. And also you should have what is called equity certificates that shows the distribution of ownership. If it's 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third, we should have equity certificates, and they're equity because they're based on whatever the value of the business is.
So even if it's one person, they should have like I have a business that I do.
Okay.
I guess I consider it a side business because I've never done it full time, but it's my business. But if I filed that document, should it be 100? I should file it as 100% because I'm the sole owner, or is that only for when you have a partnership?
That's a very interesting point. And sometimes when we're talking about that, I ask people, what do you see yourself doing with your business in the first year? Do you think are you going to go for financing? Do you think you're just going to grow at the pace of business, which most of us should do? And if you think you're going to get financing, then what's your personal credit situation? If your personal credit situation is a little challenged, I would suggest that you own less than 10% of your business, even if it's a one person. So what you do is you would be maybe own 5% of your business, and you make an equity certificate for 5% with your name on it. Then you make an equity certificate for 95% with the business name on it. Let the business own 95% of itself. And at that point, I would make it what is called an entity LLC. So even though it's an LLC, I would make it my filing with the IRS would be that it's its own separate entity, and I just own it. if you 1% owner of an entity and there's no other people, you 100% owner. But making
It's
the
you.
organization own itself, what you're getting ready to do, because it's an artificial. Remember the presidential candidate Republican back in the day, Mitt Romney, got in trouble because he said corporations are people too. What he was saying, in the eyes of the law, a corporation is an artificial entity. You have a Social Security number, a corporation has a tax ID number. It's the same numbers, 9. And so what happens is, if you make your business an entity, then you can start developing credit for that entity. It can develop its own credit and everything, even though you're the owner of it. So there's some benefits in doing that.
Hold on one second. Y'all need to call all of y'all entrepreneur cousins that's selling T-shirts or whatever and tell them they need to tune in now, because this is some great information. I'm sitting here mad that I don't have my notepad, but I'm going to rewatch later with my notepad.
Right. I was going to say, because then you'd just be sitting here writing
You know
and
what?
taking our notes.
This
But you do this, don't you?
I do this.
Right. That's
This
what I
is
was
what
going
I
to
do.
say.
I most recently, the Ohio Black News Service is a consortium of all the black newspapers in Ohio and all the black radio stations in Ohio, including WCSU on the campus of Central State. They
you slid that in.
Yeah, I slid that
and
in.
yeah,
My school.
Yeah.
They referred
It always goes back to school.
It goes back to
Well, you know,
school.
somebody referred them to me, and I was flattered, and I was like, okay, what are y'all trying to do? They had a for-profit LLC. They use buying power, but they wanted to form a nonprofit because they want to make an army of journalists. They want to train journalists. They want more control of black media in Ohio. And of course I was all with it.
Right.
So they hired my company to form them a nonprofit organization and to get them 501c3 status with the IRS, which we did. And so we do nonprofits as well. But you know, just to go back to what you're saying, these are brilliant people, but they may not know all the mechanics of formation.
Right.
So I made it my specialty, especially for micro businesses, to just know how to properly form them. So your LLC or your nonprofit organization, if you start off forming it right, even if you don't have all of the resources you need, all of the tools, you'll be surprised how much help you can get just because you're properly formed. You'll be surprised. And
I have a question, because I mean, you said you've gone off into a lot of things. Yeah. How did you get there?
Well, most of my development was experiential. It not so much was book knowledge. That was that too, but it was just to go do it. I can remember taking a economics course, money and banking, and one of the projects was auto financing, and they were sitting there showing us the mechanics of how a car dealership will finance a car for you. And so we went through it and the stipulations on what they needed. And me and a partner of mine, we went out, and it wasn't a month. We tried it, and we ended up we had brand new cars.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, when I just try it, you know. And so I wanted to learn the dynamics of business, especially just its roots, formation. If you can just show me how to get in the game, and give me a couple of the rules, you'll be surprised how well many of us will form. And I respectfully submit to you all, a lot of our small businesses, especially minority businesses, if they just knew the basics, they would perform so much better. A lot of businesses are performing handicapped with a mild piece of intimidation because they're not sure if they're doing it right.
Right.
You don't have to worry about if you're doing it right, because I'm gonna tell you, success is failure turned inside out. Most business people learn along the way.
Right.
And if you just come out right, if you just can properly form. So an individual LLC or S Corp or C Corp, you just have to decide how much money you making, or like you have, if you're doing it part-time and you have another job, then in my opinion, you will, even though you're a one-person business, you want to elect to have what is called entity status for your small business, so that you can not be overwhelmed by too much extra income and not create more tax burdens for yourself. And the beauty about business is business expenses, stuff that you wouldn't be able to write off personally for a corporation. You can expense those things, and it can offset you being taxed to death.
So no, I'm just listening to everything you're doing. So then how did you get off into the ownership of, I mean, having a building and having a place for Black businesses, especially, starting off to come?
So when I was in Ohio, I lived in Columbus, and I remember a gentleman. I happened to just go to this bookstore all the time, and the gentleman that owned the bookstore, he had 1 foot in business, and he had 1 foot where he was generating a lot of money in what we call the untaxed underground economy. And so he lost his business, and it was an opportunity. And so I was able to, for very little, own a record shop. So I had Monarch's #1 disc and video, and I had to learn in a very short period of time how to do a retail record shop. I was like, okay, I'm selling stuff to people. And then I realized I had to register with the state. When you're selling retail, you're supposed to register with the state as a sales agent to collect the state sales tax. So that's why stuff won't just be $1 if you're selling a retail. It's right. $1.06. You're supposed to collect that 6 cents. And each month,
give to them and send it to them.
And send it to them each month. Now, sometimes you can do that quarterly, and sometimes you can do it annually. But I started learning what it took, and before you knew it, it was like 8 small record shops in Columbus that were mom and pop, and I got together with them, and we formed a consortium so that we could buy together each month a certain amount of money, and we was buying almost like the big boys. We could get the same price. There was power in our association.
Right.
And so I'm learning in business. So after a while, a few of them end up telling me, well, how'd you do this? And how'd you do that? And after me telling them a little while, I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute.
Right.
There was some consulting. Or how we would say it in the streets, the game is to be sold, not told. So
that's what it is.
That's the same thing as consulting. And so I'm learning, the knowledge of how to properly do things had a little value on it. And I had to eat. I wanted to get away from the 9 to 5 rat race. So I started Sister Karen trying to find more and more ways to stream income off of what I knew and what I could do. And I remember this one young man. He was out in the streets.
Go ahead. I'll
and
let
what
you finish.
I did was it was a challenge, because he's like, Reg, I'm tired of being out in the streets. But he was a hustler. He's like, how can I legitimately make money? I took him downtown, paid $10. You can go downtown,
right? Pay
$10 and get a DDA. When you're Jameca, doing business as Jameca Services, for example. Now, that's the most exposed form of business. It's called a sole proprietorship. You're the business and the business is you. Usually it's a one-person business. It can be a husband and wife type business, and sometimes they let it be 2. And we went up to Jamaica, Queens, New York with $1,500, and this young man bought white tees. He bought large, extra large, all the way up to 8X. And he literally bought these white tees for $1.25, and he resold them for $2.50, 2 for 1, just like 3 for 2 for 1. He went to corner stores where they selling T-shirts. I didn't know people were going to corner stores paying $5 for a T-shirt almost every day. So what he did is he sold them the T-shirts for $2.50, and guess what? He gave it to them on consignment. He said, here's a stack of T-shirts. I'm gonna come back and get my money. And because he brought convenience to them, they purchased them from him. And then we got him registered with the state, and he got a peddler's license. And so he could set up outside of other businesses or in vendor shows, and he peddled the T-shirts retail. That gentleman made $60,000 that year off of a $1,500 investment. So sometimes he just had the confidence that he could.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. A lot of people are scared, right? You don't want to take that risk.
But he didn't know what to do.
Right.
So when we empowered him with what to do,
when we empower,
and he was like, "Man, I made over $60,000 just selling white
doing
T-shirts with no logos or nothing on them, just white T-shirts."
So you talk about empowerment, but you were working on a project. right?
Yeah. Which project? I work on a
That's
couple
nice
of them.
because you do roofing.
Yes. Yes. So
Let's tell us about it.
there was this gentleman. He's a handyman. You know,
I think that's exciting.
Flint has an army of handyman. And one of the things I did, Sister Karen, is I formed a nonprofit called Renewal Undergrowth.
Mm-hmm.
It's over on Beecher Road. Now, one of the things that Renewal Undergrowth did is we took over Flint Restoration's group mission on environmental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be trying to work these filtration systems, but point of use, not whole house.
Mm-hmm.
Because point of use in places like Jackson or Benton Harbor,
Mm-hmm.
when you're giving them something for the sink and the shower,
Right.
immediately, then you don't have to worry about how bad the pipes is in
Right.
the house.
Right.
Whole house, you got to know the pipes are good too. So anyway, another project within there is we're trying to team up handymen with contractors, because handymen oftentimes don't have the license
Right.
to go and complete it. They do it anyway, and we hire them, but they don't have a license, so they're limited in what they can do. And then we have some small and micro licensed contractors like DNN Development. I'm gonna tell you the group I'm working with. DNN
Okay.
Development, which has an office in the building on Flushing Road.
Okay.
They have almost every license and certification you can think of: PTAC, veteran. They're licensed builders or licensed contractors. And so it's a young man, he can fix your roof like nobody's business, but Dion is a handyman. So what we said is, let's team the handyman up with the contractor. Therefore, he don't need a license. He can come in as a subcontractor.
Mm-hmm.
He has several jobs that he can do right now. And what they're going to do is get project insurance for those jobs. And now he's able to do a big boy job under the license of a contractor. The contractor probably will receive an administrative fee. And if the handyman need help, he has the people he can put on the job with him. But now we're able to let small micro businesses be able to get big business or medium-sized business just by teaming up with a licensed contractor. And if we do that in Flint as a plan,
well, we were doing that in Flint. Let me just go on and be real clear now. We were doing that when we did the pipe replacement.
Okay.
That's exactly what we were doing,
Just
because
on a bigger
people were, it was just on a bigger level, but people were saying that, we weren't going to just let the same old big companies
That's right.
get these jobs.
That's right.
And we know that there are too many economic opportunities, and there's a way that these can be put out so local businesses have an opportunity to have those jobs. And we meant by local, we meant people from Flint. We meant people that and looked like us from Flint. And then we went Genesee County wide. And it's the way you do those kinds of things that gave them those kinds of opportunities, because the way things are written many times is a way to keep small businesses out. And it's not necessary to have all of those kinds of things that they put in there, but they do it so you can't be there.
Absolutely. And that's why we are, there's a relationship between business to business and individual, and business and government. And you're absolutely right. We put barriers in place sometimes that box us out. And I mean, you just touched on it. Even with this all this demo money that's coming in, there's no way you shouldn't have where there can be some 5-house demo deals.
Exactly. Thank you.
Businesses can have
that right,
and be able to build their portfolio.
Exactly.
That I know that there's endless discussions about it, but until you change
until you
the
do it,
language of the rules,
exactly, it doesn't matter. Right. It's
endless
just talk.
discussion.
It's just chatter.
And then,
That's right.
and by the time
right.
you talking, and in the meantime, the big boys is getting the job.
Right, and they're gone.
And it's done.
And they're not under any obligation to subcontract you, because even as a subcontractor, you have to have a certain amount of insurance and bonding. And if you haven't done a certain amount of business, it's very difficult to get the bonding. And I'm so happy there's a gentleman named Peter Gibbs. He worked for the SBA for 18 years. He's based out of DC, Foundation Bonding. And this gentleman, a few people in Detroit and a few people in Flint even, he has gotten them bonding.
So, okay. So are you still training people? I mean, how do people get to be part of that project?
So that project, and we're going to be announcing more of it on our website. Y'all go to Renewal Undergrowth
Can we put that in there?
.org.
Renewal Undergrowth.
Y'all go to www.renewalundergrowth.org, and what we're going to start having is some bi-weekly meetings. Don't cost nothing. That you just come to if you're a handyman, and we're going to be trying to make sure that you're properly formed.
Okay.
Because even though you're a handyman, we're going back to that proper formation, that your company, either if it's an S Corp, C Corp, or LLC, that you're properly formed, that you have your covenant documents, and then we're trying to team you up directly with business. We're bypassing government. We're bypassing all of that, even though all of that is out there, and we're trying to get straight to the sources.
Okay.
We're trying to source this thing out, because what if your organization was able to, as a nonprofit, go to the land bank and obtain 10 houses? What if Jameca was able to go buy 5 houses from the land bank? What if Mickey was able to go buy 5 houses from the land bank, and our nonprofits teamed up, and we came up with a program to fix? Even though you own them, you allow them to go into a program where they would be rehab. And so there's a never reinvent the wheel if you don't have to.
Right.
The Nocti testing body out of Big Rapids, Michigan, are in Job Corps. They're in state and federal institutions. They're in high schools, and they have a 6-month carpentry VT program. We could buy the curriculum. And I'm discussing this with 2 organizations now, and we literally can make an army of handymen and people like J.P. O'Sullivan at the airport, or Ryan Distributing Company, that make millions of dollars a year from 5 to 8 in the morning with their long trucks dropping off 22 ounces and 40 ounces corner stores in our community, but they don't put a dime back in our community. So a nonprofit can approach them, and under the concept of add value, say, hey, look, I'm a nonprofit with 501c3 status. We want you to fund the materials, and we want you to fund the labor to rehab Jameca's 5 houses, your organization 10 houses, Mickey's 5 houses being fixed up by these army of handymen that's going to be showing some people what to do. The end result is your property that you may have paid $5,000 for 5 houses is now fixed up and ready for people to move in. And now you take low-income people that's working, and you let them move into your houses for 6 years. They pay you rent, and at the end of 6 years, if they do self-help programs and financial literacy programs, just from a self-help perspective, so they can keep the house, then at the end of 6 years, you tell them to give you $1, and you sign off. To them. You done made almost $40,000-$50,000 per house, so your investment 5
right,
10x.
You got it.
And now we making an army
back
of
to the
homeowners.
Yes,
we must make an army of homeowners in the city.
Yeah.
Of Flint.
Y'all
You
better
ever
listen
want
to
Flint
this.
to turn around?
Right.
You don't have to worry about
And-
police.
and-
Flint will
and-
police itself.
y'all
Exactly.
better get in on this knowledge and information.
Exactly.
This
And,
Black
and
money
you know,
matters.
it just makes me think about really when we were going out campaigning and going door to door, and we were talking about, I mean, I wanted to cry if I saw another
Tarp.
home with tarp. I said, and we could be doing, you know, exactly
Tarps
these
on
kinds
the
of things, because you want to make homeowners, you want
Cats in
to
the
have people
windows.
keeping their homes and staying in the city and investing. And we keep talking about the importance of home ownership. But
Crumbling porches.
exactly. So
and an infrastructure of service to help maintain
Right.
them, because the bigger corporations
Exactly.
are not interested in these super small contracts with these homes in Flint. In fact, they're scared to come and work on them. So we must allow Pookie, Ray Ray, and Junebug now, who know how to fix everything,
Right.
to be positioned where they can work
Where they
for
can-
themselves, fixing them up. We must allow you to be able to create wealth and solve the problem of home ownership at the same time. The two are not mutually exclusive.
they shouldn't be.
We should be able to make our micro organizations work with our micro businesses to solve our problems and to create wealth. And so part of my goal in life, I believe part of my purpose as a micro business owner, is to help other people who are small businesses to properly form. You know, I can't want for you more than what you want for yourself.
Right.
Right.
But if you want to go into business and not be taxed to death in the process, I'm saying, come on, we have a way forward. We can help you. We can make it make sense. And you can take your home-based business and continue to work it out of your home. We have some premium office space for you if you need it. But we can help
Okay,
you
so if
develop
people want
along
some
the way.
premium office space, tell them what do they do to get some premium office space?
So Flushing Professional Suites. We have, you know, about 16 spaces available.
Mm-hmm.
And now most of them are filled, but we always have people coming to go
Right.
because our goal is for you to outgrow us.
Mhm.
Because it's I don't really even have to advertise. As soon as one person go out, one come in. But on Beecher Road, we have some space for a few things, and then I know other small building owners, property owners
Okay.
that need people to rent space out to. So you all
Can I see
yeah,
that, guys?
absolutely. We're gonna give you one of each. And so what happens is, even if we don't have the space and you have a space in mind,
You
we
know
can-
somebody you
we
can
know somebody we
connect.
can connect you with, or we may help you with your leasehold development.
Okay.
A lot of people go out and they get more space than they actually need. You must always learn how to grow at the pace of business. So don't go and overshoot yourself with inventory and buying new trucks and things like that when a used truck will be just fine.
Mhm.
Or you do use your car. You might lease your truck to your business for a certain amount today, a certain amount of hours per day. So that payment that you're making on your car, if you legitimately and legally lease it to your business for the equal amount of that payment, then at the end of the year, the business get the expense, the entire payment.
Y'all hear this, right?
I know it. We need to do this
You get the
again.
expense your entire payment. Yeah, we need a part two.
I
And
know.
so what I'm simply saying is these things are totally legal and within the realm of law. We just don't understand the rules. And we need to talk about these things as micro businesses because we have to learn how to network with information so we can operate just like we big.
Mm-hmm.
And take advantage of the same type of tax advantages and development because there's money out there for business to develop. And you have to decide what is your USP. All businesses have a USP, a unique selling position. What makes your hairstyle
I knew what
group
that meant.
differ from other hairstyle groups?
Mhm.
What makes your business your shea butter and your retail stuff? What makes yours differ from somebody? You have to whatever your USP is, your niche, or your unique selling position is. That's how you grow your business. Yeah, because everybody has one. Whether they know
That's
it or
true.
not. Everybody has one.
This-
you doing
you
something a
should-
little
Right.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Jameca?
This is awesome. I'm
So-
looking forward to part two. This is how good this is.
This is some good
This is
information.
some good information. And you know why it's so good? Because constantly we run into people who are starting businesses,
Right.
who have a niche. They have like this unique thing that they're doing. And people need to know how to get the paperwork. They need to know if they need office space, what to do. They need to know how to reach out to others like them. And like you say, get the big boy buying
right.
power.
You need to have those
You need to know
networks
you
and
need
access
know,
to information.
And we all know a
Association.
handyman
Exactly.
that can come over there and build you a house from the ground up, but they don't
have no license.
Right.
And so
Right.
how do we do these
So
things?
so that funds, that home equity loan that you might get from Elga or Chase or somebody,
Mhm.
you might be like, I don't know if I can use this money for you to build this house
Mhm.
because you're not licensed. Well, let's team them up with somebody who is licensed that won't gorge them and allow them to do the work under supervision so they can make money and you can get what you need done. I just had a gentleman, he's one of the best handymen. I gotta send him a shout out.
Well, send them a shout out.
Do it all handyman. This guy just remodeled a bathroom.
Did you say Andre Do It All?
Yeah, his company is called Do It All.
All right,
Handyman.
Andre Do It All.
And this guy, he can. Oh man, he can remodel anything. And I mean, when I tell you anything, he made this little small bathroom. He done made it look bigger. he done put in a jacuzzi bathtub. I mean, he just did a really beautiful job. And he has much. I mean, he just formed his business right, so that he's able to do this.
Okay.
Even though he's almost a one-man business, and he contract out help. We got to learn the power of subcontracting too.
Right. Exactly.
Subcontract out some of your professional help. Subcontract out, some of your operational help, and you can operate just like a big boy. You just put your contractors in your business plan as when it says, or in Section A where it has your your personnel. You can list your contractors as part of your personnel. They just contractors.
Okay.
They're not people you got on the payroll every day. You got a contract accountant. You got a contract HR person. You might do a paraprofessional, a contract lawyer. So you don't have to have these people on staff.
On
'cause you can't
staff.
afford to have them on staff.
Mm-hmm.
But you have them contracted. So it still shows the person when you're going to get a loan that you're organized enough to do what you need to do.
And we only have a few more minutes, but I feel like it's so much.
No, we need to get, because this is what we want to
need
do, is
this
get
part too.
information to people. So we do.
And I'm hoping, I'm not
What
gonna
are you
put you on the
hoping?
spot on camera, but I'm hoping that this
But I'm gonna
part
put you
two-
on the spot.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping that this part two can come like relatively quickly. I'm hoping we don't have to wait like months and months to get this part two.
No, I mean, long as my calendar is free, I'll commit to your next show just whenever y'all want me.
Okay.
Y'all have a real 810 media. Let me just say this.
Listen up.
They really have a good thing going on. They got a good person behind the scenes. You wouldn't know. It's this dude always, ever since I've known him.
He reminds me of Charlie from Charlie's Angels.
Okay.
Just the voice in the background that you just didn't, you wouldn't hear. You never knew who it was. And you'd hear this voice.
And everything's all together.
And you're like, okay, so Mickey, what'd they say?
Yeah.
And
yeah. Black money matters.
It does matter.
You need to like, share, subscribe, so that you all can continually get on to this is a really good thing. I actually feel honored and blessed to be here. I'm kind of tripping over myself because I'm so overwhelmed. It's just like, these are the people, your market is the people we really need to reach. We really need to talk to regular, real people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just trying to make it happen. And, most of my knowledge is experiential, is from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not talking about just doing it.
Just do it.
And a lot of times you just have to have the confidence.
That's how we did Black Money Matters.
Yep,
we said, let's just go. Let's just go.
Okay.
We have been talking about it, like you said. And then it was, let's just go, Jameca.
And then, like you said, as we were doing it, we were like, oh, we have to do this and we have to do that. But
you two, I must say, y'all have a wealth of experience in operations and administration, and taking that experience y'all have managing an entire city, and then now parlaying that to help people understand the need to develop our money and our resources. I think that's real honorable. And
really, you know what? And I think, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I think having a platform is just so important too, because that was one of the things I recognized as the importance of a media outlet, and giving accurate, good, honest information to people. That's important. That's important.
That's very
important. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, is there anything? I know that you're coming back. I can't wait to get off camera to try to figure out when you can come back. But is there anything else any like parting words that you have for folks who are watching right now?
Yes. I'm going to tell y'all something from it's almost poetic, but the late, great Dr. Arthur E. Thomas, he was an educator. And one of his favorite terms was excellence. And we have to just strive to be excellent in anything we do. And as far as business is concerned, just take the leap of faith. The main thing you want to do is to be able to properly form, whether it's an S Corp, a C Corp, or a LLC. And one of the things we're going to be talking about through the nonprofit is for people to learn what's the difference. But maybe we should do that the next time. What's the difference between an LLC, a S corporation, a C corporation? What are the different types of LLC? So I look forward to having that conversation with y'all.
I think, okay.
That's important.
Gotcha.
Thank you so much.
It may be more than a part two.
I know. It may be a regular
That's what I was going to
series.
say, that we need to do something like that to really, explain things.
Because details matter.
And we want them to start sending questions and that kind of thing too.
Absolutely.
So that's what we want to work toward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We did put them on the spot.
Hey, but look, if we can do it, anybody can do it.
That's right.
I appreciate y'all having me. I apologize for coming in hot, but it's a wonderful thing.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning
That's
in.
right, for this episode of Black
Black Money Matters.